Okay, so Ouran High School Host Club is probably not one of those shows that's gonna hold up to, we'll call it, modern day scrutiny.
At that moment, her father came home.
But the outro is absolutely legendary, especially the intro riff to the outro. So we're going to look at that today. This is the ending from all of the episodes that there are, and we're going to look at the English version. Now, you'd think that it's just like the English voice dubbed over the instrumental, but it's actually not. If you listen pretty closely, they're actually different versions. Like, it has all the parts have been re-recorded to approximate what they were, but it's not quite exact, which is a pretty good job considering, like, I couldn't tell that they were different until I was listening to the end, and the drums were quite a bit different, and I was like, oh. But yes, so this is As It Is sung by Justin Houston for the English dub. Okay, so first up, the legendary guitar intro. What do we have going on? So we have basically one guitar is arpeggiating and one guitar is doing counter melody. So we do have polyphony, right? There's two melodies happening at the same time, and it follows literally none of the conventions of counter melodies. It breaks all the rules because you find that if you follow all the counterpoint rules you learn at university, you get classical music. No matter what you do, it will sound like classical music, and that's the same with pretty much anything that you learn, especially like harmony. You will make classical music doing that kind of stuff. So with this, we just use our ears, ignore whatever we think might happen, and we use our ears. So the simpler guitar is playing in octaves to give it some strength, and it's generally playing the lower notes, but the voices intersect a lot. Like in this first one, we have F to F, and then the guitar one is literally in the middle. And we don't care if it clashes. If it clashes, it's fine, which gives it that emotional feeling. I mean, we've got clean guitars, so we have a lot of leeway in terms of what intervals we can do and how they'll sound. So I'll actually just play it first. Lovely. Okay, so guitar 2 is doing this little melody. Okay, so how can we get away with having two melodies at the same time? Well, this one is very simple. It doesn't have any leaps in it. It's always stepwise motion usually. And it has a clear contour. It goes up and then it goes down loosely. And rhythmically, it takes a motif and it just keeps that going and repeating it. So we have some idea of what to expect, right? And because of that, we have more leeway to have mental capacity for a new melody at the same time. So what the first guitar is doing is this, arpeggiating the chords. The chords are quite loose, but the first guitar sounds like this. So I'd probably call it... Oh, I'm not too sure on the key. Probably A major? Probably A major. Or C sharp minor. Maybe probably A major. Because we have this 2. We have the 2 chord, and then we have the 5 chord. And then you could say it makes like a weak resolution to the 3 and then goes where it should, which is back to the 1. It's just voiced a bit funky. And then we have this is absolutely classic. Flat 7, flat 6, 5. You find that motif literally everywhere. It's really, really common that it is everywhere in a minor key. In that case, we'd be seeing it as F sharp minor. So it'd be flat 7, flat 6, 5. It's a very strong resolution, very, very common. Yeah, I'd say it resolves, so then it can move on to a new bit in this next bit. And then we just have a A major 7. Really nice way to play it. And then we just keep that A major 7 sound. And then we come back to our original motif and same chord, the B minor. But we change it a little bit to, we go back to the A and we end on an F sharp 9 for some wild reason. I suppose you could make the argument that it resolves to B minor and D major is the relative of B minor. Right, so let's look at the interactions between everything. So firstly, we have a inverted chord, which is inherently quite dissonant and doesn't really sound too nice. And almost all the chords are inverted here. I say that and then look, like half of them aren't. So we have this, and then we have E over the third, which is quite dissonant. And then we quickly move to E7, and then we quickly resolve that back down to C sharp over G. So that's still quite a bit dissonant. And then we keep it going. We have A major 7 in third inversion. So we have the 7 in the bass, which makes an awful interval. So between this and the first note here, we have a minor second. But then between this and this, we have a minor ninth. So it sounds absolutely awful. Like... And then we quickly resolve that dissonance to the G sharp. Like it's a quick little, we just kind of move, we enclose the G sharp a little bit. And then we match the note with the second guitar. And then we go back to not matching it. That's a second. If that's not a second, it matches perfectly. And then we have G to E, which is the consonants. And then generally in your counterpoint melodies, you want consonant intervals, like thirds and sixes especially. But with this, we're just not even. And then we have a really consonant voicing of A major 7. Root position, third. And then we actually resolve that up actually. So if you hear it, it stops, it's completed, it's happy. But on the happy note, we put the second degree in. So it rests, but the other guitar is awkwardly playing a weird note. So that keeps some momentum. So then we can lead into our repeat. And we hit our peak here, still incredibly dissonant because we're using the 9 and it's like awkwardly in the middle of this melody. So it really clashes. Like this C sharp is directly in the middle of these two first notes. And notice as this one kind of goes up, this one goes down a little bit. And then on our F sharp chord, the second guitar is playing the natural 9 for some reason. Really random. I don't know why, but it resolves to the root through an enclosure. Absolutely majestic. And that is really how you create some emotions, is through dissonance. And there is so much dissonance in this. There's only 2 voices, but there's just so much dissonance. Especially because each bar is let to ring, so every note that is played is carried over. So it really lets it marinate in the dissonance. All right, then we have a cymbal shimmer to a completely drastic change in tempo. This is incredibly fast, like extremely fast. Like you can hear the musicians struggling. Not in the Japanese version, I don't think, because it's like the band's actual song, but I think like if they got like session musicians or something, like they're struggling, especially the drummer. Like they're really struggling to keep time, and a lot of weird stuff happens. Like here, where to correctly notate it, we have to have this weird triplet rhythm that literally no one would ever intentionally play. That's whack. Okay, we cymbal shimmer into it. Our intro riff. I suppose we'll talk about the chords first. I'd probably call this intro part in F minor. So we'd have a 6, we'd have a 6, 5, 1, 4, 4, 7. Yes, which is, it's pretty weak and every chord is kind of chill, but I feel like it does. There's a small resolution on the F sharp minor, and then the B is to just kind of create a bit of dissonance to get us back to repeat the cycle where we replace our C sharp minor with a C sharp major, which is a lot more aggressive, and that really strongly tells us F minor, because that's the natural 5, which is pretty much gonna be found in F sharp minor. We don't even bother to like pretend we're doing any E7 shenanigans. We just hit the 2-7 and then just say, whatever, I'm going to A now. So then immediately we're in A major. It feels like a very strong resolution, very happy, very, very nice. We start playing 4-5-1. Love a bit of 4-5-1. So we just have 1, 4, 5, 1. Sneaky diminished chord. I guess you could say it's to walk down. So it goes A, G sharp. Oh, I want to walk down. What's diatonic to A major? G sharp would be diminished in A major, so we just do that. It sounds pretty interesting. And then we go to our 6, and then we go to our 3, and then we go back to our 4, back to our 5, 5, 7, a little bit sus sound to not make it as dissonant, like a little bit of a something. All right, and then we change up our voicing. This is voiced higher, and it's voiced as a major 7 chord, but we still have 1, 4, 5, 1, 7. This should be F sharp. 3, 4, 5. Just a little bit of walk up. Same thing as before. All right, so for the pre-chorus, we start on our 4, and then we move back to our 1. Just a quick little small resolution. Go to our 3 major, 3 minor, which is pretty strange. But interesting, actually. You don't see it very often. And then we go to our 6, 5, 4. Walk down. But then we pull a sneaky. And we go 4, 4 minor. My least favorite cadence ever. I hate it so much. But in this song, I will permit it because it only happens one time. So we go 4, 4 minor. It's like brightness, and then, oh my God, the brightness turns sad. And then we go back to our 5 to prepare to move back to 1. But we don't move back to 1, actually. We go back to 4 for our main intro riff, which I said was in F sharp. So you could say it loosely modulates back to F sharp minor if you want. Yeah, same thing as before, but with a vocal melody. Chorus. Some funky chords happen here. We have 4, 5, 1, but with the caveat that the guitar 1 is playing random shit that stuffs up the harmony. Like this is the sound. Oh, and also the vocal melody. This is D major 9 sharp 11. Like some funky stuff is happening. And that's kind of how it is with rock music like this sometimes. Like everyone's like, oh, the chords are really simple and stuff. But if you look at the intricacies of what's being played, there's a lot of dissonances and it's strange notes. that do actually extend the chords. So we have 4-5-1, major 7 voiced. I don't know why we have 4-5-1, and then we have 4-5-1, kind of like it's like it really gives us some momentum, like we're finishing the song, like it's 4-5-1, 4-5-1, 4-5-1, it's really strong. And then we go to say we're ending, we change it to 4-3-6-5-4-5-1. We end with a folky 4-5-1, super average. We even do it at a descending major scale. Like, it's quite astounding that they chose to do that. Anyway, let's look at the vocal melody first, because that's what I feel like looking at. All right. I had the thought that it would be a pentatonic melody, but it's just the chords are so like changing so often that you can't really. So throughout he's singing it very high. It's very high. Like, it doesn't look very high, but it's quite high for a male singer, especially in the chorus. There's a lot of suspensions within the melody, like they're everywhere. Like 1,000 miles. We keep the B over. B doesn't belong in a D major chord, so then we resolve it down to an A, so it feels nice and happy. And the melody is really simple, really nice, really easy. We follow the chords, like E chord. Okay, let's sing some E chord notes. Like we resolve to the C sharp of the A with. I mean, it's an escape tone if we want to be fancy, but it even resolves down there because we have the tension of starting a word, and when we start a word, people think we're going to finish the word, which creates tension. So even though that's fine, it resolves down on the diminished chord, which is quite interesting. And then we start a new phrase again on the 5th. We really like the 5th of the chord here. Cool little descending arpeggio for C sharp minor. You could say this is a A major 7 if you wanted. Like, it's so. The bass is playing an A major 7 arpeggio, but I feel like it sounds more like it just has an A in the bass. D, nothing special happens. The melody it's pretty chill. It's really pretty chill. Here we hit our 6, so we have a 6-5 suspension, and then we have a 7-6 kind of suspension, which is pretty interesting. Which, yeah, it is pretty interesting. Verse 2, pretty much same stuff happens as the first verse, so nothing special to highlight. Pre-chorus, here's where interesting stuff happens. I'm really bad at transcribing backing vocals. I'm terrible at it. The guy, the backing vocal in this, he sounds like he's singing random notes. It's wild. I think it's a third harmony. So I think if you hear the harmony, I feel like that's it. To like, what we have here is we're hitting the major third to really highlight the change in the harmony. Actually, I'll go back and I will play the vocal melody because I should have been doing that. Very chill. Also, you could say it's so simple because it's so fast. Like, it is a blisteringly fast tempo, like extremely. Like, where the vocalist isn't going to be able, like, an English singer isn't going to be able to sing notes that fast. I noticed actually with transcribing a heap of these openings and stuff that like Japanese as a language is a lot different musically than English. Like, they sing so many syllables And like English covers just like don't work because there's too many syllables, and English singing isn't based on, it has a lot less syllables that are sung, and also there's rhyming. There isn't really rhyming in the Japanese kind of musical language, if you could say, I guess. But yeah, so that's why we don't really have any eighth notes. We're a lot of held notes because it's incredibly fast. And let's hear this harmony together. It sounds so random. Up, and then we jump up extremely high, like extremely high. We do an octave, which is a pretty easy interval to sing, which is, I guess, why it works. Singing the natural 4 over the E chord. And then we resolve on the F sharp of the D. Very chill. Keep it there. And then, oh my god, it goes minor. Nothing super crazy. And then we have our second background vocal bit. Again, it sounds like he's singing random notes. What did I think? I think it was a third below this time, loosely. I don't think it actually follows that rule completely. It's whacked. Yep, nothing. Oh god, that's a notational nightmare, but I'm not going to be fixing that for now. Now, my favorite part of the song and why I think it sounds so good is that this was recorded in like probably like 2003 or something. Like it's old. So we're probably not spending too much time tuning stuff. And I've looked at a lot of other like transcriptions and stuff while transcribing this just to see if I'm like getting it right. And people are not in agreement of, they're not in agreement of like when the G sharp changes to A, or like if the G sharp is held into this one, or if like it's very, I think he's singing between the notes probably. It like creates some insane tension. Like it doesn't sound like much, but in terms of its interaction with the other stuff, like that's singing the sharp 11 over the D chord. Like it's a very spicy interval, and it's so dramatic, which is good because this is the most dramatic part of the song. This is the chorus. This is the finish of the song, and he's singing so high. Like you have this incredibly strong resolution of like this chromatic note that shouldn't be there, that just comes up and it comes back up, and then it just like, and even on the A, it's still the major 7. Like it's incredibly dissonant. And then we jump back down to finish the song. It's nothing crazy. It's just some stepwise motion to end on A. It's very chill. But this is like, it doesn't really fit the chords, which makes it so dramatic. Okay, let's talk about the drums maybe. So, the drums are pretty simple because it is so fast. And the drummer is like barely holding on. So he hits this, there's this rhythmic motif of that da da da, where it's like that, what's it called? Trecio? I think it's called a trecio. So it is hit with them, and then there's some crazy tom fills, lots of tom fills, and then we hit this beat. It's the drum and bass groove. It's that, because you need something super simple this fast, and just hi-hat, open hi-hat on 2 and 4 with the snare to like really hit the bash, so it like really fills up the sonic space to make it feel dramatic, which is kind of a bold choice considering the guitars are incredibly distorted. Like, I don't think they could be any more distorted. Like, they are insanely distorted. And this would have been a nightmare to mix. Yes. And then we have a little fill. It's pretty random towards the end. Nothing crazy. It supports, it tries to stay stable behind everyone else. This feels pretty cool though. Yeah, just some tom fills. The kick isn't changed or anything. It's just a little tom fill. And then we do our like one and only fancy thing throughout the whole thing. We just hit cymbal and then back on the cymbal on the end of 2 to like really like catch people off guard. And also follow this rhythm. Keep it in verse 2. There's virtually no interaction with the ensemble and the drums. It just tries to stay stable behind everything. And then in the pre-chorus, we keep our beat because if we change, we might lose our spot and die. So we don't do that. And then we have this. We have this funky bit to follow with our little creep 4/4 minor kind of thing. But until then, we just play normally, and then we hit this, do our little tom thing. Just a snare fill. It's just a pretty normal snare fill. Back to our favorite drum beat, and then we have this fill, which is a little bit botched. I think he went for this fill and then stuffed it up because to transcribe it correctly, I was having trouble placing the kick, but yeah, it's on the and of a triplet, which would be incredibly hard to hit deliberately, and I don't think you could ever pick that intentionally. Very cool. Crash hit with a splash. And then behind the chorus, our lovely drum beat kept. And then we have this weird feel that was pretty actually hard to transcribe. It was a bit funky. But it's just this weird snare feel and then like a grace note tom thing into a snare. Very chill, not much to the drums in this song. Okay, the bass. Again, it's so fast that like stuff that is musically complex is a bit like, it's a bit lacking, but like because it's so fast. So we follow our chords, root notes, we keep this rhythmic idea and then do something different. Keep the rhythmic idea, do something different. Like that's kind of how it goes. This is still that rhythmic idea, but with some grace notes. And then it's really not anything special. And then we do the same thing for our verse. And then we start doing some walk-ups. So we have this first one with chromatic notes to get from D to E. And then we have this one to get to A. So we kind of like a walking bass. We just kind of arpeggiate the chord. Like we hit the 1, we hit the 3, and then we approach the next chord from a note to get there. And then we keep that pattern of da 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 da. Nothing crazy. We change our voice, well, not our voicing, but the A is an octave higher for this chord. on the verse 2. There's some variation, a little bit of a something different because this is a part, so we're playing it exactly the same every time. And then we keep our rhythm and we just keep doing it for our pre-chorus. Nothing crazy. It's pretty simple actually. And then intro riff, be exactly the same part as before, exactly the same. And then we start playing every beat, bit of something different, tells us that the end's coming. Simplest bass line you could possibly ever have. Every note's pretty much as low as possible. It's super chill, super chill. All right, the guitar. So these voicings are all approximate because I don't know what to, like, it's so distorted. Like the guitars are so distorted, and usually it's just power chords, and a lot of the harmony is implied through the vocal melody, which gives us the notes in the middle of our chords. All right, so firstly, this D major 7 is voiced funky, right? So the first guitar is playing this F sharp, C sharp, F sharp kind of thing because it's got the melody. And then in the other guitar, we have a D power chord. In the bass, we have a D. So it's like D5, but we have the third, so it's a D. And then we have the major 7, so it's D major 7. And then we keep the same rhythm together, and then we split off. For this, I've got the dotted slur to indicate let it ring because if you say let it ring on Sibelius, it will ruin your whole piece. And then we have in the melody, we have this just on the 5. Oh, we go up and then we go back down. Just the notes of the arpeggio. And then we have this F minor add 9 arpeggio that's played here, which sounds really cool, really big and open. And then we just arpeggiate, and then we end on the flat 7 to make a B7. Very interesting. And we go back with a more funkier rhythm, more chicka chicka grace notes, bit of a slide, a little bit of a variation on it. So it's like it's the same idea roughly, but it's varied a bit. Like we've got the slide here, the other bit's the same. Super chill, just makes it a little bit interesting around the chords. In the verse, guitar 1 is there, it's doing things, but I don't know what it's doing because it's so distorted. I think it's playing roughly the same thing as the other guitar, and they've just like kind of double tracked the guitar by recording 2 of them. So here we just have some chords, mostly power chords. Nothing crazy. Like I said before, we voice this actually up an octave as to how it's usually played on guitar. A little bit of a different voicing makes it, it's like a little bit different for a different verse, Nothing crazy, same part as before. Here we have a slight little counter melody. We go D, and then we approach the A. So we just step down, scale-wise, hit our A. And that's pretty much the only interesting thing that happens. I'm pretty confident they're just normal voicings for a guitar, just like normal bar chord voicings. And then we have our intro riff returning, the second variation of it returns. So we have that slide. It's pretty chill, nothing crazy. Oh, I've got this marked as B69. Why is that? Because I'm pretty confident. Yeah, that note's definitely there. And then there's also an upper note that I think is C sharp, which would make it a 6/9 chord because the vocal melody singing the 6 and the 9, which is cool. It's just a little bit of an extra something. And then here we have our guitar starts playing this random counter melody. It's just loosely using the notes in A major, which gives us some funky things that happen because we've got and it repeats exactly, I think. But just hitting our 1. This is the 9. This is the 6. 6 again. So the chords are a little bit exotic. Like we dip down to our major 7. But yeah, nothing crazy. And then we end with literally the lamest, most cliche thing you could ever do is go down the scale to end the piece. Yes, that is that. That is a small look into Shissou, alternatively called Sprint in English, by The Last Alliance.